I can't be over and over and under my skin. All this attention is doing me out. Fuck it all, fuck this world, fuck everything that you stand for. Don't rely, don't accept, don't give a shit, don't have a choice, bro. Breaking into projects rose, taking shape, over and over and under my skin. All this momentum is doing me out. Fuck it all, fuck this world, fuck everything that you stand for. Don't rely, don't accept, don't give a shit, don't have a choice, and don't you fucking touch me. Living in your own life, driven home and lost them no faith. Show you nothing, but I ain't knowing that. Every time what I say is a sneak attack. When I get my hands on you, ain't a fucking thing you can do. Get this, cause you're never gonna get me. I am the verdict of a dead alive. I am the push that makes you move. 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 Fuck it all. Fuck this world. Fuck everything that you stand for. Don't rely. Don't accept. Don't give a shit. Don't have a judgment. Fuck it all. Fuck this world. Fuck everything that you stand for. Don't rely. Don't accept. Don't give a shit. Don't have a judgment. Bye.
The healer doesn't go around telling people that they are healers. They just are. The witch doesn't hop over the hedge to prove she's a witch. She just is. The medicine man doesn't explain why his medicine cures. It just does. The shaman doesn't claim to connect heaven and earth. It just happens. The way you alchemize a soulless world into a sacred world is to treat everyone as if they are sacred until the sacred in them remembers. As each new person awakens, the timeline changes and an alternate reality becomes our current reality. I show you that I love you. You show that love to another. An act of kindness by me is an act of kindness from you to another. The power to change our realities one by one will change what the reality of this world is.
Testing, are we on? 4, 3, 2. Welcome to the Spirit Animal Podcast, and today we do have a special guest, but before we do get to that introduction, I do want to lay out a couple of stories here before we actually get to that point. Me and MJ have never met in the past. There's been mutual connection, meaning that we've messaged in the past, and I've taken some of his information from his podcast, and honestly, is a true inspiration. Showing you where you can come from and where you can be at. That's one of the main reasons that I wanted to bring MJ on the podcast, because of his entrepreneurial path. He pretty much does show everything, every single detail that you can think of. You will see it on his YouTube channel, on his Instagram. He's very transparent, and that's pretty much what the journey of becoming an entrepreneur, or the journey of following your spiritual journey, is about. So without further ado, Trap.God 619. Brother, it's a pleasure to have you on.
What's up, man? How are you? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine, brother. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hear you good, man. Loud and clear. What's going on? Good to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you on, my man. It's been a long-awaited moment. I've been trying to get you on the show for the past couple of months, actually since the get-go. And I understand it's a layman of foundation, but at this point in time, man, I'm glad that you are on. And how you doing, man? How's your day going so far?
It's good, man. I'm in the mix of everything right now. It's just kind of like I've done a podcast this early before, but it's just not common. So it's kind of like, it's always interesting to do it at this time of the day. Because normally I'm like just fucking hustling my ass in here, and I do everything in parts as far as what needs to be done in this room daily. But yeah, man, I'm doing good. Just happy to be here. Happy to, just do what I do every single day, man. It's a real blessing.
It is. It honestly is, brother. And good news too as well. MJ's just become, a father as well. He does have a brand new born, so it's part of his journey now to go along that parenthood. And how is that treating you, brother? How's that fitting with your schedule?
Dude, it's been crazy. I mean, honestly, I want to give a shout to my wife. She's the one that's been holding it down, like, on a level of like a son and a mom should bond. She's just awesome, and I've been just doing my best to help her any way I can and just be there. We have a really cool system going down right now, and luckily it's been working out, because for right now we're taking advantage of he sleeps majority through the night, so we're just like kind of fucking like, whoa, so yeah, man, I'm just ready for all the changes. Obviously with him growing, things will change, so we're just kind of prepared and just ready, man. But honestly, it's been the best time of my life. I've had a lot of cool things happen to me in my life, but nothing has topped having my own son. So it's fucking awesome, man, for sure.
Yeah, man, no odds can beat that. It's insane to have kids. They are a blessing, bro. And the reason being why I did want to bring you on, there was conversations we had in the past, about bringing you back here to Tucson and doing some sets here as a DJ set, and that never seemed to happen, and life happened, and now we have a beautiful son. But essentially, man, that flourished into something else. I kept keeping tabs on your stories, keeping tabs with you, and seeing your work, all of your snakes that you've been keeping up. Not trying to stroke you, brother, but a lot of the things that you put out are real as fuck. And it's best to see the reality and the truth than to live in the despair of what we call as true life. So
good.
Go ahead, man. Yeah, no, brother, it's truly an inspiration, man, to have you on and to actually pick at your brain, because there's a lot of things that you've gone through the past that you might be able to share to the public.
Yeah, man, I do my best to kind of be transparent and just kind of not have people question what it is about me, period. I try to let people know. I mean, and I'm, it's very, how do you say it, man? There's really no gray areas with me. It's very black and white. It's either you fuck with me or you don't fuck with me. And that's because some people like my attitude as far as this is who I am and I don't care if you like me or not. And then some people are like, well, who do you think you are? You know what I mean? So I just regardless on what people think, on what they decide to think of me, I can't help but to be myself. And I only noticed that has only done nothing but benefit my life, being myself versus being something I'm not, or trying to like mislead people. Like, you know, I tell people I'm very confrontational sometimes. I'm emotional, and that's just how I am. And it is what it is. You know, I work on it. Trust me, I've been working on my shit for like the last going on 4 years now. And it's still like, I could tell it's going to be for the rest of my life when I'm be working on shit, but I'm fine with that. Like, there should be no perfect human out there, and there is no perfect human, you know? But I just, you know, one thing I do know is I have people reach out to me who could relate to how I am, or why it is I do that I do. And that's what matters to me, you know, like everyone has people out there that they could relate to. And that's who you should really kind of invest in, you know, people that, you know, have similarities that you can maybe share, you know, how you feel, you know, because not everybody understands how I feel, you know, and that's not everyone's supposed to. I you know, but at the end of the day, I am human, and I am who I am, and so I don't hide it. It is, you know, like I said, take it or leave it. It's, you know, and I always try to live by respecting people the way I want them to respect me, and I always feel like honesty is the biggest way you could respect somebody, right? Like, how much more respect can you show by being honest to somebody? So.
And that comes with experience. You know, you had to come to some realization to say, okay, fuck, like I'm fucking up right now, and what can I do to change it? Right. So by what you're telling me right now, I'm guessing you were not, you know, a worthy person in the past. You might have been somewhat of an asshole, and
yeah.
Now that you're saying,
like, I'm still an asshole. It's just like I try to moderate it, and meaning because like I don't like it when certain things go down. And that's when I could become an asshole, you know? And I'm starting to realize like less is more. Like, everyone knows like how I get. And I feel like at this point, some people want me to get like that. Like, it's almost like, and I could tell certain people were just trying to trigger me now, you know? And that's why I'm like, okay, now I see why this isn't even worth my time, because now they're just trying to fuck with me. But like, for instance, if I am at the grocery store and I see someone cut this lovely lady in front, this old lady or whoever, this lady in front of me, someone just really cuts her in line, I'm going to fucking say something. Like, I'll always be like, what are you doing? Like, that's fucking rude of you. You know what I mean? And you know, even that sometimes isn't worth it. You know, you got to be mindful, and some motherfuckers don't fuck around nowadays, you know? But either way, man, it's just like, I always be who I am. I always stand for what I stand for. And that's it. I don't fucking, and nobody will ever make me be other than who I am, you know? And some people can't ever live life like that. And I'm realizing that, like, I look at being who I am is so easy, but some people cannot muster it, man. They don't, for whatever it is, they don't like themselves, or they're too, like, they don't think they're good enough. So they always have to portray there's something else. You know what I mean? So
you know why though? Like, it's obvious to you. Like, if you're going through the work, you know why that person is still in that rut, because they're not wanting to put in the fucking work, and that's all it takes. You know, as soon as you start working in yourself, you're going to change your perspective. This morning, I was at school dropping off my daughter, and it's becoming a ritual so often now that I take my daughters to school with my wife, because I feel like I need to be a part of it. You know, I'd rather do that than just stay home and work on the snakes. So I put my snakes up earlier and then take my kids now to school. And I was reflecting because I was watching my kids, you know, play. And they're so fucking real, to the point, like, they're like, I don't like you, but they don't dwell on that purpose, or they don't dwell on that scene or scenario where they're like, hey, you told me to stop, like, you're a bad person. And like all these scenarios that we build as adults, they're not there as kids. So it's like, fuck, like, how do I get to be a kid again? That's what my perspective is. And I was watching this meme earlier about this lady who was a doo-wop wife. She was a wife to this guy who would run the country and sing doo-wop back in the 50s. And she was saying, you treat the public fake, right? Can you treat me with the same chive that you have going on with everybody else? Because you come home, and me being the one that you love, you treat me like shit, but you act fake with everybody else. Can you just do that? Just because you love me, it doesn't mean you have to hate me more. And that shit hit hard, because it was like, damn, like, we really are out here treating our wives with like subliminal messages, like, I don't really love you, or I do or not. You know, it's we get so comfortable to the point where it's no longer special. And that's something that I feel like I want to work on now.
Yeah, I honestly, what you just said does hit home on like just kind of the way I saw shit growing up in life. Just the way I saw even my own family treat each other, but then treat strangers better. Like for whatever reason, I just noticed stuff like that. So it's funny that you say that. But I don't know. This is why like I know what real love is, man. Thankfully, because of my wife and because I've had real love in my family and stuff like that. Like I know what it is I know when I feel genuine love, and I trust my instinct, and I always try to just keep that shit closest to me as possible. And I respect all the support I get from everyone watching my show, but I try to just not pay too much attention to what people say. You know what I mean? Just because at the end of the day, I'm always going to do what I do, and the more you do shit, the more people talk. So it's like a double-edged sword, It's like, yeah, you want people to talk, but then it kind of gets old after a while too. You know what I mean? But that's why you got to get good at just putting the blinders up and just fucking, because I got so much shit keeping me busy here, bro. This is what I want to, like, I always say, I want to be known for what I work with, not what I talk about. So this is what, no one can really fuck with me when it comes to like talking about my animals, and I always feel like that's my biggest shield as far as me being like not an untouchable, but you can't fuck with me because you can't talk shit about how I keep my animals, and I'm in the reptile world. So I feel like that's the biggest thing you should be wanting to hold down yourself if you're in the reptile world is how do you keep your reptiles? What do you even do with the reptiles? Are you even involved? Like, are you breeding? Are you just a fan? Or, you know what I mean? Because everyone has a voice nowadays, and that's fine. It's great. Social media is built so people have voices, but you got people that just like to go ahead and create something again, like that they're not. And it's like, fuck. I mean, I don't even need this podcast. I could just fucking do my thing with my animals and be the happiest person on earth.
Absolutely. And that's the foundation that you laid down because you found and you did your grit work where you're like, fuck, like what is it that I truly love? And you found that. And I feel the same way, brother, because I was in a hurt mode when I found animals. I was in a process of my life where I lost my dad to pancreatic cancer. I was 16 years old and I started watching Brian Barczyk, man. And if it wasn't for Brian Barczyk, I wouldn't want, what this is about. I was looking into fishes and he pushed me into touching a snake for the first time. I had a Puebloan milk snake, and that was the sprout of something bigger. And then it became an obsession. I backtracked a couple years behind where I just sold everything and I gave up. And then I started over again. And it was just focusing on what I wanted. It was no longer just selling something because I wanted to make a top dollar. Because I'm a flipper, bro. I'm going to be fucking honest with you. Like, I purchase animals like no other from other breeders. Some breeders may know that I do this, some may not, but I buy wholesale for some people and I resell here in town because it's all up stock here, man. People will put up upcharge from $1,000 to $3,000 per animal, and that's fucking ridiculous to me, man. Because some people that are wanting to go through the experience, who put in that money, don't have now the money to spend on husbandry, which fucks them in the ass, and now they don't have something to rely on to actually look forward to. Either they kill off the animal because they don't know how to take care of the animal. And that's something of the loop that seems to happen here in Arizona, where people get animals and they don't know how to take care of them, and they're constantly on Craigslist or being sold by private owners.
Yeah, and listen, I'm not here to knock anyone's hustle. I'm sure there's things that people do that, like, people talk shit because I have a Patreon page, and it's like, well, you're lazy. That's why you don't have one. So shut the fuck up. So it's like, I'm still gonna do what I gotta do. If people want to support me, like, that's my leverage. That's my motivation to go harder in the paint. You know what I mean? So people can just say all they want, but I will say about a flipper, it all depends. First and foremost, it's cool that you're being transparent, but I would watch how you label yourself that, because like, flippers to me are somebody who takes in an animal, doesn't even establish it, and fucking puts it in someone else's hands, or doesn't even, especially if it's an import, they don't treat it or make sure that there's no parasites, like those are the kind of people that put people out of the fucking industry because they basically don't even know how healthy the animal is, and they're just putting it in someone's hands. So I'm not saying that's what you do, but that's what, when you say flipper, that's what it stands out in my head.
Yeah.
But then,
Well, to explain that, brother, like, because since you're saying that, like, it's interesting that you're putting it in that format, because I was doing that at the beginning. You know, I was taking them from Craigslist, you know, rehabbing them for 4 or 5 months and then selling them. And this was between the ages of 17 and 20. And then when I turned, you know, this was back in like 2019 when I established Ultimate Zen Reptiles. I started just purchasing from like straight up breeders or high end breeders, and then keeping the animal for myself for a year and a half, learning about the husbandry, and then if I had the choice to sell it, I would sell it. And not to say that I didn't want to breed it, because that's never been in my mind. I don't want to breed an animal because I just don't feel like I need to put that out yet. You know, it's something that I'd rather have naturally happen with one of my trios. And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And
like I said, I'm not knocking anything. I can't be a hypocrite myself, because when I first came into this, I've said this before on my own show, that I went fucking ballistic. Like I had no idea what a recessive and a codom even meant. And I was just looking on Craigslist anywhere I can. And if I liked how that snake looked, I fucking bought it. And I thought I could put that to that. And I literally got up to 60 snakes before I realized, okay, idiot, like that's what you want to make a pied. You don't even have a female, or you don't have a pied to go with the pied. So I was like, wait, what? And so that's when I realized I had a lot of shit that I didn't really want, because it didn't really make sense of what I wanted to make, right? But B, like, you know, a lot of the shit was like bumblebee, and like it was like I'm noticing like a lot of my snakes doing the fucking twirl thing, and I was like, that's weird. So I immediately cleaned house, and luckily it was at a good time, because I had no problem selling majority of those snakes. I went from like 60 to like almost half, like 30 snakes, probably maybe a little less. And I held all the snakes I truly, really loved and wanted to keep. And I used a lot of that money, if not all that money, to get the fucking shit that I needed, you know? So then I went from like 60 to like 40 snakes. And then, but then I was excited. Like I had a plan, like everything made sense. And every time I walk in my room, I make sure everything made sense. Like, you know, like, okay, is this the pairing that I have raising up? And is this what I need to do? So, but that's when it all clicked on me, you know, and that's when I took things serious, because at first I was just like a hillbilly. I didn't fucking know. I was just, you know, like literally I had tanks in my closet, and this wasn't even that long ago. I mean, it was 2016 when I was doing this shit. And then 2017 is when I undid my page on Instagram from private to just like general public. And I started using hashtags. And I want to say shout out to Chris Sursery and Ball Pythons 101. He was the first guy to tell me like, hey dude, you know, if you ever want to like get into like the realm of shit, you need to undo, you know, fix your Instagram. And I had no clue. So I always give props to that guy for putting me on way back in the day. But yeah, man, it's like, I wanted to take, you know, cause like you, I was in a really bad place in my life. I was in a transition of selling drugs to not selling drugs, because my new, you know, it was who my girlfriend was at the time, now my wife, she was giving me like not the vibes where all my other exes would give me, where they're like, all right, fucking do your thing. Like she was like, no, I don't like your thing, and you're either going to change or I'm dipping. And so I was trying to really keep her, obviously, because she's not like anything I've ever met in my entire life. And then I just realized you need to just you can't play both parts anymore. Like it's either get your fucking shit together or don't. But I never had, like, my thing was music. My thing was DJing, like, and DJing came with fucking partying. I don't give a I don't like, no rehab could have fixed me with what I was doing if I was doing music. Like, I'm sorry, it just came. It's
a whole different vibe, man. In that life, if you don't experience it, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
I know I could fucking do a gig and not be on anything now. Like I could, and I still feel good. I still feel that excitement. But man, back then I was just so into it, like where I had no choice but to be fucked up if I was DJing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But then once, like I said, once I broke my relationship to the music industry here in San Diego and DJing and shit like that, I fell in love with the reptiles. That's when I was like, okay, and I put all my energy. People want to know, MJ, damn, you came out of nowhere, or like, dude, you grew so fast. It's because I ate, sleep, and shit this game, bro. Like I was obsessed, and that's one thing I do love about myself is if I really want to do something, I obsess over it, and there's no fucking stopping me. Man, that's how it was with the music, but the drugs and shit got in the way. Here, like I knew drugs and keeping animals did not go hand in hand. You know what I mean? And I knew that right away. And I was like, obviously I needed that because my wife, I didn't want to lose her either. So that came hand in hand. And that's what saved me. Like the animal, this shit saved me, bro, man. My wife saved me, but this was like my confirmation. Like, this is what saved me and my wife, you know, the animals, bro. Like I wouldn't have my wife if it wasn't for these animals. You know what I mean?
Fuck.
Or my kid or this. Everything is I'm forever in debt to the fucking reptiles, bro, forever. And that's why I stand on neglect. Like, you don't fucking, treat these things that are saving people's lives. Like, these things saved my life. And to see anyone mistreat it or flip in a bad way, that it bothers me. You know what I mean? Because we shouldn't be using them like that,
Yeah, we shouldn't.
But also too, like, do your thing also. Like, going back to me having to fucking adjust my collection, and I, if you gotta do that, you gotta do that, but I would think that hopefully it would lead to something where you wouldn't have to buy animals and sell them unless it's your own production. I think that should be everyone's goal, is if you're really going to be selling animals, make sure it's an animal you really want to make, and make sure it's coming from a legacy, which is from your room or your own collection.
And that's where I came to that epiphany. I was like, fuck, what can I do to stop purchasing these animals out of my own ego or my own egoistic way? So I started, networking here within Tucson. I was like, what can I do to bring it to the public? Just like how our teacher taught us, Brian Barchett. So I would bring the snakes to the club, and then I start presenting them. And then clients started coming out where they would ask me, like, do you know of this particular species? Do you work with it? Oh, I don't, but I know this breeder. And then I would get into connection with it and make my commission. So I was a third-party contractor, if you could say, so I was that Verizon wireless that was inside of the mall. In other words, bro, I wasn't fucking buying anything if it was because of my eyes. It was because of the person who fell in love with that, because I gave them the experience. And if they fell in love with it, then fuck it, let's buy something, And I would get excited too, because I'm picking something up from FedEx, and then this is going to be for somebody else. I don't have to keep it because they want to keep it. Started getting into other species, frogs, monitors. Now I'm keeping nothing but Burmese and African rock pythons because I want to build my sanctuary. It's like, I need to focus just like you, man. Like, I need to focus just on my mission. Some people can preach whatever the fuck they want, but at the end of the day, what is it that's going to get me to my end goal? What is my first step to take forward? So I figured sell everything off, keep what I want to keep, which is my white Burmese pythons and my African rocks. Nothing else, brother. I just have one monitor and my reticulated pythons. That's it.
Yeah, I gotta say, as much as I do give this all to the reptiles, and it does, because what I'm about to say doesn't make sense without reptiles, but the people I've met in this industry have motivated me to be try to be the best person I could possibly be. And I definitely wouldn't be, like, as far as my mind being so, like, setting goals, what I want to do with these animals, wouldn't be without people like Forrest Fanning, rest in peace, who's no longer with us. Bill Stiegel, Socrates, Marshall Mendez, Gary Chavino, Ed Marino. Like, these are just people that, like, I want to be my own version of them, and I'm not trying to say I want to be them, but goddamn, like, just what they're doing, their dedication behind their craft is what I want to be known for. Like, that's my biggest sought after mission. And it's not the podcasting game. And I love the podcasting game. People think like I'm trying to become like, I appreciate all the views and people watch, but like, I don't like lose sleep if I don't hit a certain amount of number. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, that's everything I put out is for information me to go back to and listen to when I need it. It's all to help this. And I just want people to really, in case you don't realize that, that's why I podcast is so I can get more information on how to help with all this. I got certain people who ask me like, well, you haven't done a podcast on this certain species. Like, because I'm doing what I want to do. And I get it. Like, I know there's a whole fucking meat on the bone with carpets that I haven't talked about and other awesome species of pythons that I think that is relevant to what I do, but I'll get there when I want to get there. Right now, I just feel like there's so much in the chondro game still and in the emerald game and the monitors, I'm fucking losing my mind over the monitors recently. So just doing me, man. And like, I listen to feedback and embrace it. But at the end of the day, I'm always going to do me on Trap Talk because I feel like I started it because I want to help what I got going on with all the animals. And that's what it's all about, bro. It's about the fucking animals,
Yeah, brother. And to lead into your practices, brother, do you have any particular practices that you habitually do on a daily, or is it more like how you said you do things fragmentally, where it's just one day I do this and the other day I do this?
So like, I mean, man, there's so many things still that need to be done to the room. It's nonstop at this point playing Tetris because I got to add more cages for more tree monitors and then move stuff around. So every day it's like, all right, what's the priority of what needs to be done? But before I even look at priorities as far as like my chores, I call them trap chores. I look at first and foremost, I walk straight into this room. This my whole room's split in half. But when I wake up in the morning, I come straight to this side of the room. No offense to that side, but I come straight to this side and I look at everyone here. Because this is my therapeutic, my spa. Like, this is my, man, I could be having the worst day ever, and I sit in this chair and I float away. That's what this room does to me. So I come here and then I check my monitors because I love my monitors. And then I'll come back in this chair, you know, and I have stuff that I write out. I write stuff out, and as I'm writing stuff out, I'm telling myself, what is it that needs to be done? What's the first thing after I write down shit? Where do I need to go? And normally I check the babies. So after that, I'll go hatchlings. Like this is like an everyday thing. You know, I check stuff in here. I go look at the hatchlings. I'll put in my mind what needs to be posted on Morph Market. And then I'll sit back and say, well, okay, what cages need to be done? What cages need certain basking or whatever, you know, like I always make adjustments that are needed to the lace monitors. Nesting, that's fucking always getting messed with, and I have to fix that. And so just a priority type thing, but every day is pretty much like systematic. Like I'm telling you, like I check these animals out and see, you know, I might need to do something in this cage that I wasn't planning on doing, but I saw something. So it really is a day-to-day thing, bro, and it never stops. It just never stops. And I could get caught into a rabbit hole on something where now I'm doing something I had no plans on doing, and my whole day is just fucking like days just go by gone. Like and like I appreciate it because it's like some people are pulling their hairs out, like counting the minutes at, you know, like some people really hate their day-to-day, bro. And I used to be one of those. Trust me, I used to cry sometimes. And I never cried, but I used to just be like, what the fuck? Like, I hate my job, you know? And I don't even like, I wish I
can agree with you, but I was the type of dude that my dad told me, you know, like, or my grandfather, my dad was never there. But he would always tell me, he's like, you got to do something, figure it out. That's it. So if I didn't like working, I found that out later on, but I would switch jobs immediately if I didn't like something. If a boss, I had problem with authority. If a boss came up to me and said something, motherfucker, then you do it. You know, if there's something wrong with it, you pick it up. You know how to do it. Or if somebody went off on my head, man, and called me a slur or something, oh, it was the end of the world, brother. It was the end of the world, because that was the last moment that you were going to see face to face with me, because my respect to my head was my last name. You know, if you disrespect me in front of my face, what are you going to do behind me? And if you disrespect me behind me, that's because you're really nice to me. So if you're really nice to me, then I knew you were a bad person.
Yeah, I knew I wasn't going to make it in corporate America as soon as I got out of sales. Mind you, I always wasn't the most liked guy at a lot of my jobs, but I always say my managers loved me because I was the number one sales guy. And like Verizon, fucking, man, I made fucking 80-90K at 19 years old at Verizon corporate. You know what I mean?
You work for Verizon? I work for Verizon right now.
I worked for Verizon for almost 11 years.
I'm in inside sales right now, bro.
Verizon corporate. Yeah. So I made crazy money, and it was just something to where I'm like, I know what I need to do to make my manager happy, and I know what I got to do to make myself happy, and that's make money. Me making money made my managers happy, and I made a lot of people around me envious because I was like pulling shit like that, and motherfuckers just couldn't pull. But then until I left that like basically when I got into management, as soon as I had to manage people, bro, everything went to shit, because you can't really help. You can't force people to be a savage in sales. You can't make people to like want to do something they don't want to do. Like if you don't want to sell, if you don't want to be here, you're not going to do good. You know what I mean? And once I had to deal like with other people other than myself, because mind you, I had a lot of issues myself too, but I didn't really know I had issues until I started trying to help other people. And then I was like, wait, bro, you need to help yourself, bro. Like, hold on. Like because I was a savage salesman. Like I came from, I was like a shark, bro. Like I got awards I literally have an award of a shark. Like, you know what I mean? Like I just was a beast because I love making money. But like I said, when it came to like managing people and working with people, I was just like, bro, how do you not do this? Like, it was kind of the way I was taught. My dad was fucking ruthless. My dad was like, you better fucking hit the ball. And if not, you suck. You know what I mean? That was just kind of like, you know, I was raised up like that. you know, and I wish kids were more raised like that. And I know trust me, my dad had, he was pretty ruthless at times. And I don't think I would ever get like that with my kid, but I know some kids need it. You know what I mean? It's good for some kids, but to each their own. And mind you, bro, was COVID. Because of COVID, the gym shut down. I went from Verizon to the gym industry, and the gym industry, man, was fucking crazy because there's a lot of money to be made, but only if you're good at selling personal training. And selling personal training is a whole nother beast, bro, because you're getting like intimate with people. Like you're getting like, and I didn't know that you had to share a story. And luckily I had my story because when I left Verizon going into the gym industry, I was like almost 260. I was a big guy, bro. I was like I was pretty big. And so I lost a shit ton of weight. And once I lost all that weight and I looked great, I felt good talking to people about it. But then it also made me sell more with empathy. Like I learned to like relate with people. And like I used to have a box of tissue. They kept a box of tissues at my table because basically anybody who sat down to talk to me, they cried. but they cried like in a good way. Cause like, they're getting some stuff out that they normally don't talk about. Like it's like literally an emotional connection. Cause some people wake up in pain. Some people can't sleep. Some people can't walk, can't go downstairs. They can't live life normally because how out of shape they are. You know
Bro, you fucking gave me the chills because that shit is exactly what happens to me. Hear me out. I was in Vegas and I was in a group with 4 other hustlers with me where we're selling life insurance and we're going down the strip and we walk into this cigar lounge called Tinley Village, and right there is sitting Victor Cohen, one of the football players for I don't know what the fuck team, and his friend called D. He used to make tailored fucking suits, and we're talking about our story, and I don't know, this motherfucker's in tears and I'm in tears and his wife is right next, or his girlfriend, and he's like, she walks up and she walks away and she says, "You guys are bitches," and she just leaves. And in that moment we're like, what the fuck? And then my boss later on that night explained it. He's like Asians or Asian females, it's not to be stereotypical, but they have a higher sense of what they want, meaning that they're not going to give up anything just because of your emotion. And if they see any type of emotion, they're going to walk away and go find what they want, because that's exactly what they're going to do. It's not to be stereotypical, bro, but that's what exactly my boss told me. He's like,
is he Asian?
He is Asian too.
At least he's speaking on it and he's Asian. I was going to say, if he was an Asian man, you better be careful with that, buddy.
No, yeah, he is Asian too, bro. Yeah. And he was saying, he's like, it's because the generation or where they come from, where they grow, you know, they are taught that bullshit isn't real. And, you know, if you see emotion, walk away from it. You know, it's because the emotion that we display is because we don't know how to carry ourselves in what way. But if we can master that, we can relay that emotion to somebody else, just like we do. And it's weird as fuck, man. But look in every single episode, and you'll see every single one before. You know, Brian Cusco crying, JTK, some emotion, Gianna Yoga, she cried. You know, but because she shared her story, because we allowed to convey that story, and if we allow that story to be conveyed.
I've definitely cried with Cusco in person before, for sure, but that was because we lost Forrest, and that was pretty fucked up. But yeah, I love Brian Cusco, man. You want to talk about, I was talking about people earlier that really motivate me, like somebody that inspired me to even want to pursue podcasting to the level of like, do you need to upgrade shit? Like keep getting better, was because of Brian Cusco. I always admire Brian's layout, the way he did things. And him as a person, like the whole package. Brian Cusco to me is the whole package. I'm not saying he's perfect, but man, I've stayed at his house, seen the way he fathers his kids, the way he's a husband. I just love the guy. Like in my heart, he could do no wrong, and I'm sure everyone could do a wrong. But man, that guy right there is just, I definitely I strive to have the ambition to want to be the person that Brian Cusco is, because every day Brian's trying to better himself, and I see it. I've seen Brian's journey since following him since 2016, 17. His long hikes or his long runs, swimming in the pool at fucking 5 a.m. Like, dude's he's a beast. He inspires me, like him and Socrates and all these. That's what I'm saying. It's so easy to be surrounded by nothing but fucking inspiring men. And even women, there's fucking women in this industry that inspire me too. It's definitely a great place to be,
Absolutely, bro. And like you mentioned, with these people that are inspiring us, there comes attraction of what their beliefs are. That's what I wanted to delve deep into. Do you have a religion or a spiritual belief?
Yeah, I believe in God for sure. I mean, I was raised pretty, and my mom, my mom's fucking full blood Italian. And she was like, I had Holy Communion and, was raised in a Catholic church, but I never really understood really like Catholic church, to be honest. I just never could really grasp with it. And then I think what happened was, I think it was in high school, my senior year in high school, or going into my senior year, there was like this youth camp. I remember I was good friends with somebody in football, and his mom was like a big time Christian, and she sent us to this youth camp. And it was great because there's all these other people at like different high schools there, and it was fun. But like, that's when I first heard a message, and I can't really tell you what the message was, but it was something where like whatever it was, I connected to it. And that was the first time I felt like I like had that closer connection to God. I just never took it to like, there's Bible study and stuff like that. And I just never felt comfortable taking it to that level. Like I just, in my heart, because of my mom, the way my mom raised me, my grandma's Hispanic, hardcore fucking Catholic as well. So that God, me believing in God always instilled it in me. But like when I went to that Christian camp, that's when I kind of like understood it more. And to this day, me and my wife still go to church. Now, I mean, mind you, we haven't gone in since Leo's been born, but we go Sunday, we go to it's called East Lake Church. It's like 10 miles away. And I always feel like I need that. I'm somebody who talks to God. I have no shame in saying I talk to God. And going to church feels like I'm doing more than talking. It's like kind of just like, it makes me feel like the path that I'm seeking still makes sense. I'm doing what I'm doing. And, my biggest thing is like the struggles in life, like they're going to come no matter what. And as long as you have that belief or something to lean on, you're always going to be all right. And I know the shit that I've been through in life, man, like I've been through, man, another reason why I believe in God so much is because where I'm at right now, like I do give everything to the animals. I do everything to my wife and stuff, but God runs supreme as far as like what I'm most thankful for sure. And I don't talk about it too much because a lot of people get like, I don't want they get in their feelings and I'll never push it on anyone. Like definitely won't ever push religion on anyone. This is just what I do. This is what helps me, helps my wife. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, everyone has their thing, but my thing is my thing is God for sure. So
it's interesting, man. The study of what religion is just the practice of rituals, meaning that
right,
we've based it off of a reality of what religion is, or what politics has made it into something that's a conveyed prison in some people's eyes, meaning that because you don't have a dualistic view, meaning that you believe in heaven and you believe in hell, meaning if you were to do something bad, you are now condemned to one or the other.
Yeah.
If you were to do something good, you are condemned to one or the other. My question to you is, have you ever, being a DJ, and I'm pretty sure you have you dealt in any psychedelics?
For sure.
Experiencing any spiritual?
Yeah, dude, for sure. I mean, like back when I was DJing, it was more like the uppers. Like I was like fucking really heavy in cocaine and shit like that. But I also had like my moments where I was like more on the like the MDMA side of things, and like and that's when kind of felt like partying on a more calmer. But as soon as I was like too calm, I would just go right back up. So I don't feel like I had a connection with psychedelics at all. Mainly the psychedelics I'm talking about are like mushrooms. Like that mushrooms didn't make sense to me until I did it after I was done partying. Like when I was just doing it, like just to like, the same way I would smoke a bowl, right? Like I need to chill. Right. That's when I finally tried doing, and it was chocolate. I don't know what was it. What did I try first? I think the the gummies. It was something, but I never felt the sort of like calmness and just like, because I'm a high strung person. Everyone knows me. I'm very high strung. Who's close to me. I'm very like just intense, and I never felt unintense the way I felt. And without obviously any other stimulants, like I wasn't fucked up on anything else. It was solely that, and I was like, whoa, and that connected me a lot, like to the point where I was like, fuck, I was doing it every single day because I met my buddy who is, his name's Diego, and he has quite the story, man. I don't know if I want to tell you guys the where to look this guy up, because it's fucking quite the rabbit hole, but long story short, he trains Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I think he's a black belt now, but Vice, the Vice, the like the news reporting thing, Vice, it's on YouTube. Vice did a story on this guy, right? And when I saw his story on Vice, he said that he did a 30-day challenge, which was he did 1 gram of mushrooms every day for 30 days. And I was like, I want to try that. I believed in it so much. I was like, I want to see if I could do that. And I did it. And man, I cannot tell you what was crazy is I smoked less weed because I smoke a lot. I smoke heavily. But then I realized taking just a little bit of a square, I would take a square with my coffee, work out, do my thing. And next thing you know, I'm not even smoking weed. I just feel so good. And I noticed the biggest change with it when I was driving, because California, we have fucking bro. San Diego motherfuckers are always in a rush, running stop signs, almost hitting you. Like, it gets pretty bad. And I always would be like, well, fucking like ready to rock and roll. But then my mind started changing. Like, well, dude, what if they're in a hurry, or like what if they need to get somewhere and you don't, like, maybe you just pull over and let them go, And I never thought like that. Because I always thought like, this fucker, why is he trying to cut me off? Like, I always take things personal, and I admit it, man. Like, I'm not perfect, but I take things personal. And so doing that at that time made me just really be a lot less, I was more selfless. I was like, dude, it's not about you, man. Like, it's not about you. And that's what I like to feel like. It isn't about me. It's about like the people who love me and around me, and just all this other stuff just started mattering more. You know what I mean? And that was my, I told my wife, I was like, babe, I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but I feel different, blah, blah, blah. And she was just like, yeah, all right, well, don't do this fucking next month. And I'm like, I'm not. It was just a one-time thing. And she was like, I don't want my husband eating mushrooms every fucking day. And I was like, no, I'm not. I swear to God, I'm not. It was just kind of like, I wanted to try it out. And so, yeah, man, that's my relationship with, experience with, I guess you could say, psychedelics, but these are in a micro dose. I'm not. And there were some days I actually ate straight up mushrooms too, like I was kind of into it, I'm not gonna lie, because I felt so good. I just couldn't. I was, I had times where I would cry about certain things, which, like, I let things out. Like, it was quite the experience. So
that sounds very spiritual to me without knowing it. It's kind of like you did some groundwork on you, and that was the foundation. I always voice this because it's, when people hear mushrooms or psychedelics, they're like, oh shit, I should try it. No, don't fucking try it. Just work on yourself first, identify the shadows, work on what you need to fix on you. And then once you're ready, dive into it. If you're ready, go ahead. Everybody, it's your life to experience. Fuck, it's cold, bro. Hold on. Give me 1 second.
You're good. Shout out to anyone watching. I don't know if anyone's watching right now, but you guys are cool. Let me see. Can I look at oh, look, I can see the comments. Who's here? Oh, Dylan. Damn. Shout out to everyone in the chat, by the way. I just want to say,
yeah, thank you so much for joining.
I see a lot of real ones that really fuck with me in the chat. So thank you so much to anyone who's spending their afternoon or morning here with us. Much love and respect.
Thank you, MJ, for that. Kind of rude on myself to not intro them there. Thank you both for coming in. RO 5.0, Peter, Shaverts.
It's a lot to delegate, huh? This shit's fucking crazy. Like, it's people think it's easy running a live and shit like that, and they'll try it a couple times and they'll stop after a while.
And I try to go more natural, where I sometimes just automatically press them, but like when I'm into a conversation, I tend to like go off of it and honestly just forget about the comments. Not to be rude, I love you guys all, and thank you so much for watching and enjoying it, but it's just like I rather enjoy the conversation, for be real.
I feel you, bro. You're good.
Noble Family Geckos, Mars 10 Morphs, because we love you, bro. All righty. Thank you so much for checking in. Brother, well, to continue with the next question, do you find your morning routine has a particular type of balance? Meaning, do you pray or do you use any type of rituals as a habitual thing?
Yeah, I mean, I'll stop and just be like, I'll say, it's weird because when I feel so good is when I'll definitely give my praise to God. Like, I don't just talk to God when things are bad. You know what I mean? Like, I'll feel so good. I'm like, God damn it. I love you, God. Like, this is like every day, and it's not at a certain point of the day. It's some point of the day. I'll after either a hard workout or something, but really, like, I feel like a routine that I dedicate myself to, or at least try to, is affirmations and writing shit down. I feel like everything goes the way it should when I stay committed to writing shit down. It's crazy as it sounds.
I'm gonna stop you there, bro. Affirmations, because this is very like it's at a point right now where I'm studying it because I feel like it's not fake, it's true.
Definitely
but if we study the law of physics and the law of attractions, and it doesn't make sense, because you're saying you're putting something out, right? And I understand visualization, and that's something that I do, which is different from affirmations. But if you're wanting to attract something, doesn't negative and positive attract, and negative oppose from each other, meaning that you will never reach that goal if you continuously just say it? There has to be some motion of action to flip.
Yeah, I mean, dude, this all, like, I did affirmations before I even knew what affirmations was, because how much I love sales. And in sales, like, for instance, Verizon, right? Like, I always knew there was a certain number of activations I wanted to hit, upgrades. There was, in my head, I knew there was something I'm going to hit. And I had there have been times when I'm like, dude, you're like 30 phones short before you hit that goal that you want. And I would tell myself, I'd be like, dude, you're going to get like 10 today. And like 10 would be a fucking good day, right? But I would just tell myself, you're going to get fucking 10 today. Don't know how, but you're going to get it. And somehow, if that opportunity would come, and I would see it unfold in front of my eyes. A family walks in, and then they have a family with them. What the fuck? Here we go. And I would just see that. So I always knew, you got to tell yourself it's going to happen. Like, you got to.
I do the same shit, brother, because I work from home. I work from home, and when I say I'm gonna get 50 upgrades or this or whatever, I don't say it out. I type it in and I erase it, and some way or the other, it happens that same day.
I used to write. So my biggest thing back in the day, because I was obsessed with being number one so much that, and mind you, like, when I first came in, knew I wanted to be number one, but I was like, how the hell are these guys doing it? But I remember when I first got like top 10, I remember the report came out and I became top 10. I fucking printed it out. I highlighted my name, and then I highlighted the guy who's number one, and I fucking pasted that shit on my bathroom window. So every morning while I was getting ready to work, I'm brushing my teeth, I'm staring at that fucking list, and I'm like, oh. And every month I would update it, and next thing you know, you see my name go from 10th to 7th, from 7th to 5th, from 5th to 4th. Next thing you know, I'm like in range of this guy, and dude, I mean, you just gotta obsess over things, man. But mind you, you gotta like be confident about it. Confident is what a lot of people lack in almost anything they do. They don't believe in themselves. And obviously you don't want to be overconfident, but you got to tell yourself you can do it. And that's
because you can kill yourself if you're overconfident too.
You got to talk what you want in life. And more importantly, write it down. Like, affirmations, one thing, but what kind of makes affirmations come to fucking full fruit is when you write it down. You got to write shit down. It comes hand in hand. It's crazy, bro. Like, it's nuts, because, you know, like you said, well, how does that put in the type of energy, or like, how does that, I don't know, can't really explain that. I just do it and it works. And I don't know, it's crazy. Just and I want to thank my boy Socrates, you know, one of my best friends in life, who kind of even put this kind of habit into my head that all this shit is important. You know, you could say you want something in life all you want, but how are you not, like, what are you doing to hold yourself accountable, like, each day, to make sure you're fucking on point to get what you want? And so, yeah, man, I feel like all this shit just keeps me, like, it keeps me, what's the word? Structured. Like, it keeps me structured, more
grounded.
It grounded. Yeah, like grounded. Like, I have a sense of balance that makes sense to me. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, this is what it comes down to. And there's a lot of other things that I want to do to kind of make my life better. You know, I mean, we could all do so many things to like benefit our lives more, as far as healthier things we can do. And it's just like, all I could do is take it one day at a time, and just, you know, like I said, it's going to be forever changing thing in life. My life is always going to be constant fucking evolving, and that's fine. I think it's how it should be, you know?
Yeah. Hispanic food will always be there. You know, we just got to take a break once in a while.
Yeah, sure.
Let's see here, brother. As a child, what was your aspiration? What did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh man, I was crazy about baseball. I mean, motocross too, you know, but I knew like I fell a lot. I ate shit a lot. And then, I knew how expensive motocross was, because every time I would fuck my bike up, like I saw my dad, like I could see my dad like hurting over it. You know what I mean? And so I knew that wasn't going to go for too much longer. But baseball was something I really wanted to do something professionally. And that was my biggest drive, like growing up, was baseball for sure, I would say. But then, like, after baseball, I realized, I had a good life, man. Even with my mom and dad divorcing, my dad did everything he did to get me everything I wanted in life. I always had fucking sick shit during baseball. Like, I always looked good. And so my dad gave me that life. But then when I realized I was on my own, and when baseball didn't work out, I was like, well, now what? I'm fucking 18 years old or 19 years old. Like that, and my dad at that time was going through some shit. And I was like, dude, you got nobody but yourself now. And that's when I became I just like, you got to go out there and get it. You got to go figure it out. And luckily my first job ever, like not job ever, but my first sales job was selling phones in the mall. It was fucking working for this place called the Mobile Solution, no longer in business. They're not long gone, but it was one of those third-party kiosks, one of the first ones back in the day. And that's where I grew my skills. And then I got hired at Verizon corporate. Like,
But for some reason, I thought you worked at T-Mobile, not Verizon.
No, so T-Mobile was this first job. It was T-Mobile Singular. There were two cell phone companies, T-Mobile and Singular. So I sold both. But then it was like, that's when I started talking to people who work for corporate, and they're like, oh dude, they're like, we make way more bank over here. And I was like, what? Get me in. And so once I got like that experience, because like I said, I had no sales experience. And once I got that year and a half of sales experience, I got that interview at Verizon corporate. And that's when I started really making bank, and everything changed,
If you're a top sales guy, I recommend that job right now, because, commission's paying a lot right now, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it was, but dude, back in the day, this was different, bro. Like, this was like no cap, like, bro, like I was making like $9,000 a month, like crazy money, bro. Like, and I was not even 21. And this is like and then obviously a lot of it changed and it went more customer service driven versus like how many sales you can get. But that's when I left. I got out of it right around that time. But yeah, man, crazy. So,
it has changed, because inside retail they do get different commission from what we get as inside sales. So since we work directly for corporate, we get that direct commission check. So like my commission checks can vary from $1,500 to $6,000, $7,000 a month. But yeah, there's those people that make 9 G's a month.
I mean, it's a good industry to be in for sure. I remember my next step after sales was being in management. And then I realized like my managers were depressed and just not, and this is back in the day, honestly. I don't know what it's like now, but they just didn't seem like happy people. So I was like, I don't want to do that. And so, yeah, I got out of that.
Yeah, brother. And what did you lead into that? Was it just selling drugs after that, or what?
Yeah, well, so basically which was crazy. I kind of like, I should have never quit Verizon. Like I could have at least just demoted myself and just kept being I could have just stayed in sales and made a check, right? But no, of course not. I had to fucking quit, and I went to go pursue my music career and thought I was going to be this fucking DJ and be rich. And when I realized that, no, you're not going to make a lot of money DJing, because all the guys that do were already rich to begin with, or they're fucking like just different. Like, it's just like, it was just, my head was in the gutter. And then I was like, well, I don't want to stop DJing. So that's when I had plenty of homies in the drug game. But that's when I took it on and said, fuck it, I'm going to start selling. And the thing was, I was supplying to big music people, like in the music industry. And I always had my feet in the door because of that. But that's what was keeping me in, was the drugs. It really wasn't like my portfolio or anything. It was because, oh yeah, that fool has bomb drugs. And that's all it was. You know what I mean? But then, that just got old. Like my life just was deteriorating little by little. And then, getting into the gym is what kind of saved me, because I started losing weight and started becoming healthier. I still partied a little bit, but not as much, because I was working out so much. And then I met my wife. I met my wife at a 24-hour fitness. And that's, like I said, yeah, I think the gym industry saved me for sure, because it calmed me down and got me to want to be in shape and not just fucking be this big piece of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we all got to move away from being a piece of shit.
Some people don't, man. Like, dude, some people can't. And like I said, I'm so thankful for the things that led into my life, because some people don't, man. I know people still doing the same old bullshit from back when I was involved, and their life has not changed, man. I even found out that one of my good buddies, man, is like, he's known in the neighborhood as like the tweaker, you know, and like, I'm like, what? And like, he's basically homeless. And I'm like, this was a good friend of mine. Like, I got him a job at Verizon. Like I never saw this happening. And then this is like what I hear, one of my childhood homies. And that's very heartbreaking to see. But like, you know, he's doing his thing. Like, he chose to do that. Like, no one, like, he's gotten help and all sorts of shit, and he doesn't want it. And that's his thing, you know? And it's like, it just, right, that's when I go, oh my God, I'm so thankful. You know what I mean? So,
but that's when you realize you got a bigger mission. You know, your bigger mission is how to wake these motherfuckers up to actually stay clean. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, it's not a way to live life.
It's like showing, maybe your God, you know, is showing you in a way, you know, how can you fix that, or how can you make that situation better for the future, for our upcoming generations?
Yeah, totally.
Well, who do you think your spirit animal is, or do you think any animal from the animal kingdom resembles MJ?
Yeah, the lion for sure.
The lion.
Can't help but think of the lion. That's like I latch to that. Yeah, king of the jungle, man.
Why?
It's because you just like, no, you ain't fucking with me. Like, that's my attitude. You are not fucking with me. I just like, even going into sports back in the day, like playing football and shit, like Pop Warner, like just I always had that, like, it's fucking go time, you know, and Lions, it's go time. It's always go time with the lion, bro. So a little intense, I know, but it's just that's my fucking go-to, you know, it's the lion, I would say.
Yeah, that is very intense. Stop growling at each other, my dogs. Of a blue healer and a Catahoula mix. Yeah, man. So like the lion does have those displays of emotion, and I like the way you speak when you say it's intense, because I say that a lot too to my wife. Like, you know, if I'm too intense for you, walk the fuck away. To a lot of people, I say that, but it's just the way I am, man. If you don't take my intensity, take it for granted or whatever, but if you think I'm too much to handle, maybe it's because you're too little. That's the way I like to take things, you know, or realize certain things. I'm not putting people down, but at the same way, maybe you need to work on yourself to see who you are, because I try to be my best every day, man. And if I can't put it out as it is, and even when I do fuck up, like I had some issue back with my podcast, and I reached out to you too in regards to this incident. But you're like, be real, bro. Like, what the fuck are you feeling? Well, what would you say? And I was like, well, that's something that I'm portraying, and I'm trying to fix that issue. Why the fuck would I say that? Well, then fucking say it. So I did, you know? So it's like living that true. That's all it is. That's what a lion is.
Yeah. And a lion gets humbled every now and again, you know? I don't see shame. Sometimes you got to take your licks the way they come, and just be ready and just come back at it. You know, like you see some lions that are all scarred up and shit, but they're still fucking running the fucking group, and they're still running shit because they don't give up. And that's I feel like I've definitely in my podcasting career have taken some fucking scars, and because self-inflicting, you know, I've said some shit, but you know, I said what I said, and I still stand on it. You know, it's my fucking podcast. That's how I feel, and you're here listening to a show where this is how I keep it. You know, I keep it real. So. And no matter how good you try to say things, you're always going to rub somebody the wrong way. That's just how life is, bro. Like, not everyone's going to agree with you, but you should be happy to see that some people don't agree with you, because that's how you know you're being genuine, and you're not fucking being most of these goddamn fake clowns out there, you know? I hate these copycats. Like me, it's just like the same format on every reptile podcast. Not every, but for the most part, it's just very cringe. Like, I can't even stand to watch it. Because it's just like they're like uniformed. And it's like, bro, do you have any emotion? Like, the fuck? Like, it's just, I don't know. But you know, to each their own. Like, some people are trying to be completely PC, like politically correct, and they want to be business professional, and that's fine. I get that. Now, I just do me. Like, I'm always gonna just do me, and it's worked for me. So,
because it's hard to put up that front, because you know what reality is, because you've faced those emotions, you've been at the hell point. And there's that saying, I think Brian told me this. He's like, the person who holds the beautiful soul is the one who's came back from hell. So if you've gone to hell and came back, you have a beautiful soul, and you can notice it, because you can't help yourself to be fake anymore, because it's like you put on the fucking glasses, you can't take them off anymore. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. And you know, like, you know, just like you said, and I think a lot of people are ashamed to admit when the way they were moving or behaving wasn't right. But the more you are ashamed, the more difficult it is for you to want to be yourself and be real. Like, just admit, like there's so many people that I avoided relationships with that did nothing wrong to me. Like, they were so polite, so cool. And I just never gave them the time of day. You know what I mean? And then here we are years later, and they're still showing me love and support. And something finally clicks in my head, like, dude, just be cool to the person. And I ended up liking the person. And next thing you know, like, they're on my show and like all this shit's happening. So sometimes it's, you know, it's not the surroundings, it's yourself. And I've noticed that like that too. Like, I sometimes could just be very difficult to just not really work with. Because if I want to work with you, it's great. Once we work, that's fine. But just for me to like trust you, like, I have crazy trust issues, bro. Like, I always think somebody always wants something whenever they come to me in this shit, because I've seen it firsthand. I've seen people literally fucking go from my biggest fan to now threatening me to like record a phone conversation because they can't trust like what I'm going to tell them. They feel threatened and I'm this big bully. And it's like, what's like, what the fuck? What just happened? So I've seen crazy shit like that. So, you know, and that's why I always take things with a grain of salt, man. Like, I love my supporters. I love people who fuck with me, but my circle is super tight, super niche, super small. And that's how I have to keep it. It's unfortunate, but that's just what it is. But it also makes it, you know, less is more. I always feel like less is more, but I always show love to my supporters, people who fuck with me. I'm trying to get better at it. You know what I mean? I just like strangers that come out of nowhere asking me for advice and almost demanding it. I feel like I don't owe you shit. Like, just because I have a podcast, just because I do sell animals doesn't mean I have to fucking answer whatever concern or whatever it is that you have when I've never even met you before. And
it's
I'm
fucking
just
time consuming, man. We all have
I'm
time.
just not gonna be that guy.
Greatest
Like,
value thing. Yeah.
And you're asking me loaded questions like why something won't eat, and it's like, dude, this something is gonna take a conversation. Like, we're gonna need to sit down for this. You know what I mean? And I'm not gonna fucking just sit here and pour my heart out in a goddamn DM to this fucking stranger. Like, it's just not gonna work like that. Because there's other people I need to speak to anyways. So it's like, dude, it is what it is. You know what I mean? So
you can buy somebody's honor if you purchase their great or their fruit. So that would be buy from me. You know, if you want value from me, buy something from me, because at the end of the day, the only way you're supporting me is if you purchase either my merchandise or my snakes or my animals. You know,
don't be lazy and just go fucking, like, you know how many podcasts I had that could answer so many of your questions? Like, I've had people explain step by step on how to fix certain things on this show that you can just go research, go fucking look for it. You know what I mean? And mind you, that's for people who are just expecting to get answers versus looking for it first. It'd be one thing if someone's like, hey, dude, I just saw this podcast and I have a question. If you were to come to me like that, I'm like, oh, that's what's up. You're watching my show. Like, okay, what's your question? Like, that's a way, just giving you tips out there on how to get someone's attention by showing them that you appreciate their work, or show appreciation of what they're already putting out. Because what if you're asking me something that I just spoke about last night on the show? Go fucking watch the show. You know what I mean? So, dude, I talk a lot. That's why I don't do a lot of podcasts either, because it's like, I talk a lot, bro. I do 3 shows a week. I'm doing 3 shows a week for over 3 years now. And I just feel like I talk a lot, you know? So that's why it's like, if you really want to talk to me more about reptiles outside of my podcast and you're not a part of the family, well, you better become a part of the family, because I'm not going to fucking spend my time with you. And take it for what it is. But bro, I'm only human. I can only do so much in a day, you know? So yeah. And some people don't like that, but it is what it is, bro. Like, I've got my loyal ones, and my loyalty with the family is growing. The family's growing first and foremost. Shout out to all my Patreon members. Love all my trappers. But bro, it's just great what's happening right now. And I just see the surroundings that I have are with people who are growing, becoming better by the day. And I just see so much potential and so much greatness with a lot of the people that I choose to fuck with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. And that like Socrates says all the time, you know, surround yourself with 20% of what you want to become in the future. So you eventually will become that 20%. Bro, if you can recommend one piece of advice to any business out there, whether it be reptiles or any entrepreneur path, what would it be?
Business
wise, or maybe self-oriented, if it's something for self-development, a piece of advice that would follow on with you to help you grow within yourself or your business.
Yeah, I mean, I got to tell you, the biggest thing you have to be ready for if you are going to become a business is like the investment side of putting things into yourself. And the good thing about the reptile hobby before it should become a business is you should have stuff you raised up, stuff that is high quality, stuff that you feel confident breeding and reproducing after you've had it for a while and you feel confident, right? But dude, I mean, like every time I sell anything, bro, there's another animal I put it into and it comes right back in. And all that does is up the equity in my eyes of the collection. And I've been doing that for years. Well, not too long, but going on 6 years now. Just I always put it back in. That's where all these cages come from. Everything came from sales. It came from me, you know, all the ball python shit, to be honest. Like I always think, you know, I talk a little bit of shit about the ball python community in the game, but I wouldn't be shit without the ball pythons, and that's a fact. So but you got to invest, man. You got to put it back into yourself right out the back. Don't wait. Don't expect some money to come to you in anything like for like the first fucking 3-4 years, you know, at least minimum. Also, too, don't fucking become Mr. Oh, I want to put my logo on a shirt and just fucking expect people to pay me $30 when you're just like, who are you? You know what I mean? If you are going to put your logo on a shirt, give that shit away for free because you're going to want people to fucking rep that shit first and foremost. You know what I mean? I charge for shirts because I can charge for shirts. Don't you take it for what it is, but fuck, you know, if you could sell them, that's fine. But a lot of people,
there's levels to this shit. There's levels to it.
You know what I mean? So you're better off just getting these shirts and the people that you fuck with the most, people who have podcasts, people that you know that would rep you, put that shit in their hands and then watch how that shit grows. But a lot of people don't. People want the return. They want money right away, and that's how I used to be. Trust me, in the drug game, that's exactly how you get your money back very quick. You know what I mean? But this don't work like that. I mean, my wife who's knocking on my door, man. Here's the thing, man. My biggest goal right now is to afford my wife. I would like, but also that scares me too, because she'll be like keeping track of losses and all that. I don't do that. I don't do profit and losses, man. Everything's a profit in my eyes, but that's not the case. I have animals that don't make it sometimes. And there's definitely some losses that I don't track down. And I know that's where I could mature more as a business. I need management for sure. I'm not a perfect business. I am an LLC. I pay my taxes. I do the bare minimum, but man, I'm not. I feel like there's a lot more I could do to benefit the business that I could use help with. And I know my wife, like the thing is she makes bank, like she makes really good money at her work. So I can't afford her quite yet, but my goal is to at some point be able to pull my wife from her 9 to 5 and get her working here full time and helping me. But I mean, like I said, I'm probably like 5 years away from that happening, but that's my goal. And I feel like everyone should be ready to spend money on yourself, like in the business, put it back in the business and be ready to have multiple hustles for sure. You got to have multiple hustles. Obviously, depending where you live, you have no choice but to have multiple hustles. Thankfully in California, even though it's hard to live here, it makes me like, I'm fucking just on it, bro. You have to be on it because my mortgage is super steep and it's just fucking like, it ain't easy living in Cali, but I'd rather not live anywhere else other than San Diego. And that's a fact, but it ain't easy, man. So yeah,
San Diego's nice, man.
Yeah. It's fucking the best. I'm sorry anyone out there who thinks they live somewhere the best in the United States. You don't. San Diego's the best. I've had multiple OGs in the game tell me that after they come visit. So but yeah, man, I mean, and believe in yourself too, man. Just believe in yourself, fucking. And if you're miserable too, I don't know, like going back to when we were first talking about people being miserable when they wake up and go to their jobs. I mean, my last job after the gym industry, my last job was working at Office Depot, like a retail center. No retail other than Verizon, which isn't much retail at all, but no retail experience whatsoever. And now I'm a GM at Office Depot, bro. And I had the most unmotivated minimum wage employees. I didn't know what to do. I was like, holy shit, what the fuck is this? It felt like a comedy / horror movie. Like it was like, I couldn't believe it. And I had that job for a little over a year, bro. But that was right when COVID officially cracked off and my store shut down. I told myself I'm never going back ever again. I prayed every day. I was like, I'm never going back. Please, God, help me. And that's when I went super fucking hard on the podcast. And that's when I was able to make this like a 9 to 5 in a sense, even though it's nowhere nearly profitable as the ball pythons, but I could see it slowly getting there. So that's why I grind so hard, man. This is my backup plan. My backup plan. So in case I can't ever sell a snake, hopefully someday I'm like, well, I'm a podcaster, so I'm good. But yeah,
the next Joe Rogan of the reptile industry.
Fuck, bro. I don't know, man. I mean, I love Joe Rogan, but man, he sometimes is. He be saying some cap sometimes too, man. But it's all good. I mean, like no one's perfect. I wish his animal knowledge was more on point, like the way he looks at snakes. I don't like and stuff like that. But he is, he is who he is. He's Joe Rogan, so it's fucking. It is what it is. Nobody's perfect, so
that is true. And there's always that seek of relevancy inside of the media game, And as an artist, I call myself an artist because I like to visualize things. I don't call myself anything else. So I see things, I make them, I create them, and as the visual artist, it's like always contradictive. It's not going to be the same perspective because the media always wants you to portray something. Like you speak a lot on this, like that you got to keep it relevant. You got to keep it relevant. You got to keep it towards what people want, what people like. Yeah, we understand that. But what about ingenuity or the authenticity, that the artist brings to the table? What can we do different? And that's what has pretty much made me evolve since the get-go, since I came out of jail. That was my perspective, was like, how can you evolve with your own authenticity? Because I'm tired of being the same as everybody else walking around, because it was fucking tiresome, man, where I would wake up, do the same shit every single day, having to, fed for my family, because some weeks I wouldn't have money, and I would do the impossible, whether it be selling or drugs or trafficking from state line to state line, but I'd figure it out. But it was just my path of way,
I feel you, bro.
Brother, what is your favorite genre of music, to end it with these 3 questions?
Oh man, I mean,
the deadly question for the DJ.
I like if it came down to like, what do I want to listen to while I work in the room and do my thing? I love classic rock. I like 80s, like a lot of the shit that my dad listened to, like that stuff just puts me in a good mood. But like, I also bump a lot of rap, like I try to stay loyal to like my rap. I like kind of grew up off of like Mac Dre and shit like that, and Tupac and shit. But like I bump a lot of Draco from LA, who's no longer here with us. He died actually, but I'm a big Draco fan. And but yeah, man, classic rock, bro. I mean, classic rock in the 80s, bro. That's fucking my shit right there. Like that right there will get MJ in a fucking good mood for sure. But like you asked me what my what a walkout song would be, man, and that would have to be something way more intense, like Slipknot, like fucking surfacing. Like the metal is like, I don't want to walk out to like kill somebody in that music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it sounded intense when I was making the reels. Like, holy shit! Like I'm beating to this, and
that's a mood though. Like that's like a gym. Like I listen to Slipknot at the gym. Like when I just have to get something done. Every now and then I'll bump it in this room, but my wife, like I have to be mindful that she has to somewhat listen to this too. And when they're screaming and shit like that, that's when she's like, "Yo, like, can you fucking?" So I usually wait to blast Slipknot if she's not home or something. But also, like I said, that's when I'm feeling like I need to be jacked up. You know what I mean? But I try to be more on the chill side now in life. I want to be more like, like more happier. Not that Slipknot doesn't make me happy, but Slipknot takes me to a time in my life where I was very aggressive, and that was right when my mom and dad got a divorce. And yeah, that's fucking like Jelly Roll. Is that like a donut? What is that? What does he mean?
I don't know. That's funny. My brother was in a band called Dreaming Awake. It was a metal band, and they were touring and all that. But I felt like I was going through dark times at that time when I was listening to that genre of music, and I would do crazy ass shit just to get females' attentions or on stage or recording, and it was just bullshit, man. And from when I moved on from genres to like R&B to soulful music, I started seeing the change in my perspective of life, where I was more of that Latin lover or a calm person who would just like to talk and chill out. And that changed with the genre of music. I don't know if you have that same perspective, that once you hear some type of genre, it changes your vibe.
what's crazy is as much as I was bumping Slipknot in 9th grade, I was a huge Boys to Men fan. I like Keith Sweat. So I was fucking like listening to some grown and sexy shit where I was like vibing to the lyrics and everything. But that's why, like, you know, not to toot my own horn, that's why I'm so good at DJing, bro. Like I'm passionate about a lot of different styles of music. And it's all stuff I grew up off of. Like it's all like classic 90s, 80s shit, like shit that really could never be duplicated. And in my eyes are like original hits, you know, even though some of them are in a sense are copycats, because everything comes from an original point at some point. Like I noticed as genre of music continues, it's all like, well, that beat was from somewhere, or that came from somewhere. But
you know that that generation was the foundation, so that's right. Like that's why it's real.
But you know, that's why like there are just classics in my head that just can never be the same, and I don't forget about them. Like I have fucking man, I have over 20,000 songs, man, and I have a lot of them in fucking categories, like in folders. And I could, if I'm like, man, I want to Rage Against the Machine day, or if I want a Limp Bizkit day, or whatever, like something in my childhood, I could just go right to it, and I'll just fucking, I got classics for days, man. And I prefer the classics. I prefer shit that isn't played anymore. You know, I don't listen to like Young Thug or fucking any of this newer shit. The only newer shit I'd listen to was like an LA rap group, or not even a group, but Draco, and that's it. Like I need something that relates to what I feel, or what I've been through, or something. Like I have to.
Yeah, it has to have substance.
Yeah. And a beat is everything too. Like a good bass line. Like because I like bumping shit, man. So if I feel like it's funny. Like obviously, what I hear for first and foremost in a song is the beat. Like I want to hear what's going on with that, and then I hear the lyrics. But there'll be some songs I bump where it's like the fucking lyrics are shit, but it's just such a sick ass song. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Like it's music is, I want to say that's before the Animals, my savior was definitely music, because I just latched to it. I loved music, man. I have my dad to think. My dad just always bumping music everywhere we would go. In the garage, anytime I wanted to go see what my dad was doing, he's bumping music. And so it's kind of like what I instilled too. So I love it.
It's sick as fuck, man. Yeah, because music does give you a vibe, and it does change the mood in the room.
Everything matters with music, and that's why sometimes when I ask people hot seat questions, like "What's your favorite genre of music?" It doesn't happen a lot, but you have people like, I don't know. Like what? Like it's kind of like, do you have your favorite food? I don't have a favorite food. What? Come on, dude. How do you not
eat every day?
Like, what do you mean? Like, it's like, I don't know. It's hard to believe that, but some people just it's not important to them. And God bless you. I wish, like, food is super important to me. Food is a little way. I know I take food a little too serious sometimes, and I have to come down to reality, especially with my age. Obviously, I can't continue to fucking eat burritos and shit like that all the time. And I got to just throw it in there every quarter or some shit. But, you know,
so you're a foodie then. My wife is a foodie too, man.
I mean, that's why I love San Diego so much. You can't fuck with our food. Like you can't fuck with our Mexican food. We have the best Mexican food in the country. Like it's hands down, like for sure. Because I know there's certain tortillas you can't get anywhere else but where we get here in Tijuana and certain places. So I just know for a fact, like, dog, come see for yourself. San Diego is the best. It is a
melting pot. There's a lot to see, man. California is expensive too. There's a lot to travel within a couple minutes.
It's fucking very expensive, but it's worth it. My wife. We talked about how like if there was any motivation to move, she would move, and I'm like, nah, fuck that. We gotta continue to just eat shit here. Just fucking. Because we got the weather, man. We got the weather. We don't, you know what I mean. Even though we have fires, but still, like where we're at, man, it just everything's perfect weather-wise. And just location for family and food and all that is just perfect. It's just best weed and
best weed. Bro, what is your favorite animal? I know we spoke of your spirit animal, but what is your favorite animal?
Oh man, I would say the lace monitor for sure.
Out of all the animals in the kingdom.
Animals in the kingdom. Oh man, I love monkeys, bro. Like orangutans. I'm a huge like I always wanted to hug a big orangutan. Like even though it's as scary as it sounds, but I always love orangutans. But pandas too, man. I love pandas. I'm a big panda guy. It's really hard to say. Like if I could really just think of one, a panda.
Panda.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah, I'd say a
sick.
panda.
That's sick as fuck. Also said, I thought you were moving to Miami.
I thought he stopped smoking fucking acid or whatever whatever he's on right now. I don't know what you're talking about. But I will never ever in my life move to Miami, and all the V Unit family members know that. That's crazy. Floridians are nuts, bro. You want to talk about that should be a third world country. I'm not joking.
There's some specific laws in Florida, man. It's crazy. There are laws out there.
It's the wild west of everything. I feel like it's just.
I used to work for this company called Human Insurance, and when we got calls from Florida, it was the worst. You know,
it was
IPAs, dealing with different doctors that were on crack, doctors that didn't know what the fuck they were doing. It was insane, man. It's like a whole field park, just like saying "Bon voyage," do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
Bro, last question. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, man. So what do you think, or first and foremost, what's your biggest goal doing podcasts? Why do you do these? I'm just curious.
Why do I do the podcast?
Yeah, why? What's your mission behind Spirit Animal Podcast? Like, what's the motive, and what are you looking to do in the next few years? Like, I'm just trying to fill you out on that.
Absolutely. So we're in the process of getting our own licensing for opening our sanctuary. So we want to make this a foundation where we're bringing in a perspective of almost unity or transcendence through our thought. So it has to do with a lot with yoga, meaning that self-practice, or Ayurvedic practices where you found yourself and you know your true identity. I was a victim of, not a victim, I was my own victim of that situation, but I was pretty much homeless. My father died when I was 16, and I wanted to put something out. What foundation saved me? I was in a foundation called Youth Build that helped me get my high school diploma and work at the same time, building houses for low-income families. Cool. So I want to replicate the same thing with reptiles, bringing in kids who are homeless and also in need of a new foundation with snakes or breeding of animals, you know. And within this sanctuary, we want to build that same type of systematic, you know, either you work for 1 week or you go to school for 1 week and then you help the animals out for 1 week. It is something that, you know, it's a constant thought. It doesn't sleep at all. It's always there. Like, I'm constantly thinking about it. I have to give back. Because if it wasn't for that foundation, Youth Build, I probably would have been, you know, dead or, you know, in the streets, you know, shooting myself up with heroin, or who knows what the fuck I would have been doing, because I was in a very dark place when my father passed away. I attempted suicide. I threw myself in front of cars, and it was just a dark place, man. But my wife came out of the darkness and pulled me out. You know, it was my savior.
God bless the wives, bro. God bless the second halves.
But yeah, man, that is exactly what the podcast is about. I believe everybody has a story. I think every podcast has a foundation where they want to lay that out, but nobody actually faces the questions and asks direct questions to the guest, where it's like, let's just talk about snakes today, or let's just talk about this topic. I want to talk about you.
Yeah,
that's it.
Totally. And I think that's awesome. You know, that's definitely something I feel is different. Because like I said, I started this podcast when, first and foremost, there was nothing else on YouTube. There was maybe a couple, but as far as being relevant, no, nothing. And I just wanted to bring reptile knowledge. All I cared about was the reptiles. But as I grew into the podcasting game, it you know, getting kind of more deeper with people is awesome too. And it's definitely not done enough. So that's definitely good on you, and definitely wish you the best with this, man. And I appreciate you bringing me on too. I had a good time. Yeah, I just, you know, hope everything goes well with you and your mission.
Absolutely, brother. Let's hope to get you down here and tour the facility and see what's going on.
Yeah, totally. I need to get to Arizona. I got a lot of respectable homies who are in Arizona and hold it down. So just, I want to say, any Arizona herbers or keepers out there, man, just keep holding it down. You guys are killing it. And shout out to Arizona.
Brother, it was a pleasure having you on. To anybody who did join today, thank you so much for joining them. Always much love. This was the Real George of the Jungle, the Spirit Animal Podcast. MJ, thank you so much, brother. Hang on tight here for me. I'm going to go ahead and close it out, and I'll bring you back on, okay?
Cool. Sounds good.
Thanks, man. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be releasing the next podcast here this upcoming Saturday. Always much love, the real George of the Jungle.